So students, today, for all the class 9 students, students of class 8 who are getting into class 9th and student of class 9 who are in class 10th. From today onwards, I'm going to start English literature classes. Let's start with the most easiest of the topics. And one of the most easiest topics is, I guess, Face in the Dark. And it is a very, you can call it a thrilling kind of a story for everybody. So before I start with the story, I'm going to tell you something about the writer. The writer of the story is Ruskin Bond. Ruskin Bond was an Englishman, but he settled in India and he stays in Dehradun. So I hope you know a little about Ruskin Bond now. So let's get into the real stuff. The story is Face in the Dark. As you can see, it is Face in the Dark. I'll read out line by line and I'll explain it also. If you find it difficult, you can send in your views. If you want me to explain it in Hindi also, I can do that in Hindi. I'll try my level best to be easy for you. Let's start. Mr. Oliver, an Anglo-Indian teacher, was returning to his school late one night on the outskirts of the hill station of Simla. Okay, there was a person, a school teacher by the name of Mr. Oliver, and he was an Anglo-Indian. Anglo-Indian means somebody who is not of complete Indian origin. I mean to say somebody's parents are like from abroad, mother is from abroad or a father is from abroad, foreign country, that is Anglo-Indian. Okay, English. So he was returning from school late one night on the outskirts of the hill station of Shimla. Actually, the school was in Shimla on a hill, a very, a hill which was away from the city. So he was there and he was returning to school one night. He used to go for walks to the town and he was returning. From before Kipling's time, the school had been run on English public lines. Now I'll tell you what before Kipling time means. Before Kipling time means, as you might have heard of Rudyard Kipling. Rudyard Kipling was also born in India. And he was rather associated with poem. So people say that this school was running before him also, or rather he was born. Okay. The school had been run on English public school lines. That means it was an English medium school before Kipling's times. And the boys, most of them from wealthy Indian families. And the boys, or rather the students of that school, were from very wealthy and rich families who wore blazers. Blazers, for that I mean coat, blazers. They wore school caps and ties, as you all wear. Life magazine, in a feature on India, had once called it the Eton of East. There was a magazine by the name of Life magazine. And that magazine had given the school the rating of Eton of the East. Eton of the East means a school where you'll find all the rich and wealthy people, sons, daughters coming and studying there. So it was like that. Mr. Oliver had been teaching in the school for several years, and Mr. Oliver was there, who was teaching in the school from many years. Next paragraph. The Simla Bazaar, with its cinemas and restaurants, was about 3 miles from the school. As I told you that the school was on the hill, and there was a bazaar which was very far away from the school. About 3 miles, as it states here. And Mr. Oliver, a bachelor, usually strolled into the town in the evening. And Mr. Oliver used to go down to the town when the school used to get over for a walk to relax himself, buy some groceries, whatever. When he would take a shortcut through the pine forest. And when he would return, on his return, he would not take the long cut coming to the school. He would take a shortcut that was through a pine forest. So he would rather prefer the shortcut to school. Next paragraph. When there was a strong wind, the pine trees made sad, eerie sounds that kept most people to the main road. And generally in hill station, when the wind blows, and mostly hill stations have pine trees. So pine trees, when the wind blows through the pine trees, it makes a sound. You might be aware of it. Eerie sounds, scary sounds. So most of the people used to avoid that shortcut of the pine forest. They preferred the long route. But Mr. Oliver was going through the short route. But Mr. Oliver was not a nervous or imaginative man. Mr. Oliver was not scared. He would never used to imagine things. And he was never nervous about things also. He carried a torch and it gleamed. He was carrying a torch which was shining. The batteries were running down. The torch was glowing very low because the batteries were also low. Moved fitfully down the narrow forest path, and he was moving very briskly and through the forest path, through the pine forest. When its flickering light fell in the figure of the boy, as I told you, the batteries were going down and the torch was flickering. He saw a boy sitting. The torch was flickering on a schoolboy, and he saw a boy sitting, who was sitting alone on a rock, and the boy was sitting alone on a rock. Mr. Oliver stopped. Mr. Oliver stopped there to see who this boy is. Boys were not supposed to be out after dark. Mr. Oliver was worried because it was late in the night and boys at the school were not supposed to be out. So he was worried, what is this boy doing outside the school? What are you doing out here, boy? He asked the boy what he was doing. Asked Mr. Oliver sharply. Moving closer so that he could recognize the miscreant, he moved closely towards the boy who was sitting there just to recognize who the boy was. But even as he approached the boy, Mr. Oliver sensed that something was wrong. When he was approaching the boy means when he was getting closer to the boy to know who the boy is, the boy was, a little shaky and he could not be recognized. And Mr. Oliver thought that there's something wrong. The boy appeared to be crying. The boy was crying. His head hung down. His head was hung down like this. He held his face in his hands, and his face was in his hands. He was sitting like this. And his body shook convulsively. And he was shivering. Shook convulsively means he was shaking like this, literally. It was a strange, soundless weeping, and Mr. Oliver felt distinctly uneasy. There was something strange about everything that he saw. He saw the boy sitting there, shivering, crying. So Mr. Oliver felt that there is something strange, and he also felt uneasy inside because he had never come across something like this. So he asked the boy, "Well, what's the matter?" He asked, his anger giving way to concern. Now, he was not angry. He was concerned what the boy was doing outside. Because the boy was wearing his school blazer, his school tie. So obviously, being a teacher, he was very concerned about the boy, that what he was doing outside. "What are you crying for?" he asked the boy. The boy could not answer or look up. The boy never answered and never looked up. His body continued to be racked with silent sobbing. He was sobbing. You understand what sobbing is? Like this, crying. And his body was also shaking. "Come on, boy. You shouldn't be out here at this hour." He told the boy, "Come on. You shouldn't be out here. You should be in the school at this hour. Tell me the trouble. Look up." He told the boy, "Tell me your problem. Look up at me and talk to me." The boy looked up. The boy looked up. He took his hands from his face and looked up at the teacher. The boy, looked up, removed his hands from his face. The light from Mr. Oliver's torch fell on the boy's face, and the light of Mr. Oliver's torch fell on his face. If you could call it a face, or rather, if a person who has seen that kind of face could call it a face. You know why? I'll tell you why now. The suspense of the story starts now. It had no eyes, ears, nose, or mouth. The face had no eyes, no ears, no mouth, nothing. It was a blank thing. It was just a round, smooth head. It was just a round, smooth head with no eyes, no ears, no nose, nothing. With a school cap on top of it. Just a school cap on top of it. And that's where the story should end. And according to Ruskin Bond, the story should end here. But for Mr. Oliver, it did not end here. But for Mr. Oliver, it did not end here. Next paragraph. The torch fell down, fell from his trembling hand. The torch fell from his hand because he was scared. He had never seen a boy with nothing, no expressions, no ears, no eyes, no nose, no nothing, just a smooth ball and a cap on it. So Mr. Oliver was scared. Anybody who sees a person like this would obviously be scared. So even he was scared and his hands were trembling. And the torch fell down. He turned and scrambled down the path. He turned around and he ran through the path. Running blindly through the trees and calling for help. He was running through the trees and he was calling for help, help, help. He was scared. He was still running towards the school buildings when he saw a lantern swinging in the middle of the path. As he was running, he was scared, terrified, shouting for help. Through the woods, he saw a lantern. You understand what a lantern is? What you call in your house or villages laltain, that is a lantern. Mr. Oliver stumbled up to the watchman, gasping for breath. As he saw the watchman, he was there with the lantern. He went to the watchman and he was trying to catch up breath, He was panting and puffing and he was trying to catch breath because he was scared, plus he was running. What is it, Sahib? The watchman asked him, what is it, Sahib? Asked the watchman. Has there been an accident? The watchman asked Mr. Oliver, have you come across an accident or what is the major problem with you? Why are you so scared and running? Why are you running? I saw something horrible. A boy weeping in the forest and he had no face. Mr. Oliver told the watchman that he had seen a boy in the forest, a horrible boy, weeping in the forest, crying in the forest, and he had no face. No face, Sahib? The watchman told him, no face, Sahib? No eyes, nose, mouth, nothing? He never had eyes, mouth, nose, nothing? Do you mean it was like this, Sahib? The watchman told Mr. Oliver, do you mean it was like this? Asked the watchman and raised the lamp to his own face. And you know what the watchman did? He raised the lamp to his own face. And he said, was he like this, Sahib? The watchman had no eyes, no ears, no features at all. Not even an eyebrow. The watchman also was the same. He had no eyes, no eyebrows, no mouth, no nose, no ears, nothing. So he raised his lantern like this and told Mr. Oliver, was he like this, Sahib? And that's where the wind blew the lamp out. And that was the place where the wind blew and the lamp of the watchman went away, went off. That is the end of the story. I hope you might have understood it. If you have any queries relating to the story, you can send in your feedbacks and I will try to be more easier. If you want a little of the description or explanation in Hindi also, please do write your views and I'll be highly obliged to get back to you. Thank you.